Welcome all sports fans, everyone across the nation. This is Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, and we're going live. A blog that we didn't really talk about, but we're here with PJ and myself for the Donovan Mitchell curious case of where he may go and the domino effect it may leave in the NBA. All sports fans, you guys know what time it is. Stay smart, stay uneducated. Let's go. Welcome all sports fans, everyone across the nation. This is Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, live with the lovely PJ. What's up, PJ? Yes, say we're doing good today. How's everyone doing tonight, man? We're doing the curious case of Donovan Mitchell. It's a special we're putting out there. Didn't talk about it to anybody else, but it is a special that we're doing. And we want to know, where do you think Donovan Mitchell may end up playing with or playing for? We'll find out, you guys. But before we get into that, if you want to see more content like this, man, hit that like button and subscribe to Uneducated Sports Talk. We have a plethora of subscribers already on here, man, on our road to 1,600. And when we get there, someone's going to win $150 and counting, you guys. It's been a blessing doing this show. I want to thank y'all for the love and the support as always for this show. And if you guys want more of things like this, just let me know. And then hit in the comment section, where do you think Donovan Mitchell may end up? Let me know, you guys. So thank y'all for that, man. And do not be afraid to subscribe to Uneducated Sports Talk for the best play-by-play and live commentary in all of YouTube, you guys. So we got a lot going on for today's show. The curious case of Donovan Mitchell, as I see people coming in there. What is up, love? What's up to the chat, y'all? Thank y'all for the love, man. Here we go. Donovan Mitchell is in a kind of weird position. He's a all-star who can transition into a superstar later on in life. He kind of needs the right people, the right places, the right team, the right organization. And you thought that maybe Utah was that for him, but apparently not. The thing about Donovan Mitchell is he looks good, everything's fine on paper, but it's all about the playoffs, and he has shown some form of being very dominant, but for the most part, he's shown forms of not being dominant in the playoffs and coming up low at the biggest stages of the playoffs so far. And he's had his ups and his downs. So it's gonna be a weird road for Donovan Mitchell. I got JJ2 Productions says, yo, we got Tilda Legend says, much love, bro. What's good, bro? We got Curry Edison. I'm literally a huge Knicks fan. Hopefully the Knicks get him. I got Jonathan Baca in the building. Says, happy Saturday, y'all. What's good? And we got Grant out the 12 says, you going live tonight for baseball game? Yes, Red Sox and Yankees. Johnson, someone compared his center to Dwayne Wade, so I think Miami would be a good place for him. We got all that and a lot more we will talk about in just a moment, man. So thank y'all for the chat, man. Hit that like button. I have no goal for tonight's like, man, but smash that like button regardless, because we're doing 2 streams tonight anyways. But this is the curious case of Donovan Mitchell, and we were saying how his ceiling, like Barker said, his ceiling is Dwayne Wade. He has that potential, but we see him so far come up very short in the playoffs in the biggest moments, and even including the last couple of years in the regular season. The Jazz have blown numerous 10-point leads, and he has been the main catalyst for that squad. So you wonder what's going to happen with Mitchell, but we're here to break it all down, you guys. The Rudy Gobert trade to the Timberwolves kind of sparked it off, right? Joe Ingles is no longer there. Royce O'Neal no longer there. So a lot of their key guys are gone. But the difference is with Gobert, the Jazz got a lot back with Rudy Gobert. They got a lot back from the Timberwolves, a lot back for Gobert. So the Jazz were probably thinking, man, we want to sit on Donovan Mitchell if he doesn't want to be here and be part of that rebuild. We want just about that from what we got from Gobert and a lot more, right? So I figure that they're going to sit on Mitchell as long as they can. But the one thing I've always said, Kevin Durant is going to be the first person. Kevin Durant is going to be that guy. He is the main king, the domino effect, right? When he's gone, then a guy like Donovan Mitchell, you might know what he's about, or he might be in the same trade aspect. We'll break all that down and a lot more in today's stream. So hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, man, what are you waiting for? Come subscribe to Uneducated Sports Talk. This is the curious case of Donovan Mitchell. Where would he go if he goes anywhere? Honestly, I'm a big advocate of KD staying in Brooklyn, and I do believe that maybe Mitchell might stay in Utah. But Utah is on a rebuild mode. Does Mitchell want to be a part of that rebuild mode? It's all on him, honestly. Uh, but they have beef between Gobert and Mitchell, and that kind of sparked things off ever since the 2020 COVID situation. Ever since the 2020 COVID situation, it's been kind of tough between those two guys. They've been beefing this whole entire time. And honestly, I think it was Mitchell being more of the bully than anything. But we'll find out though if he's all talk and no bite or what happens. John says you don't think the Durant trade will drag out? I don't. I think KD stays in Brooklyn, man. I do. I just don't see him going anywhere else. Brooklyn can't be that crazy, right? Because he's still got to play. He's still in the contract for 4 years. So I don't know. It's. I mean, pieces are there for Brooklyn to be successful. They just got hit with injuries last year. But we'll find out though. But speaking of those Brooklyn Nets, let's get to them, y'all. All right, y'all, we are here, man. The Brooklyn Nets are the first trade suitor for the Utah Jazz of acquiring Donovan Mitchell. But we have said this the entire time. These guys need a trade partner. And look, Brooklyn, this offseason has been crazy. They got Kyrie Irving to come opt in, but the day he opts in, the next day, Kevin Durant wants out. Now these guys had Harden, Durant, and Kyrie Irving on the squad last year. They traded Harden for another diva, which was Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons didn't play at all last year for Brooklyn, but he'll be ready for this year. And you figured, man, if they don't change anything up, they have a great squad with just those three guys: Durant, Kyrie playing the offense, and of course Ben Simmons playing great defense and being the facilitator. You got something going on in Brooklyn, and so you wonder why Kevin Durant wants to leave. Well, the thing is, I guess him and Kyrie may be on not good terms, and they're quote unquote best friends. So it's just funny how things like that always transpire. But as of right now, I'm gonna say that Durant doesn't leave, but boy, it's gonna be very difficult to see what actually happens, man, with this squad. Let's go with the Nets' issues right now. All right, so about Brooklyn, I mean, what do you do with KD or Kyrie? That's the thing. Who do you give up? Obviously, KD's that person that requested a trade. Kyrie almost requested that same type of trade, but he did not. He did not. All right. DeAndre Ayton staying with the Suns kind of put dampers on things because you wanted Phoenix to be that third team in a trade aspect with Kevin Durant. The Pacers want to sign Aiden to a 4-year, $133 million deal. But as soon as they put it out there, the Sun says, yeah, we're going to match that. 4 years, $133 million deal. So that kind of put an end to their part of a trade with Kevin Durant or a trade with the Jazz because, mind you, DeAndre Ayton cannot be traded without his consent for a whole entire year. So they're out of that market now. There goes maybe the Durant to Phoenix, or and it could be a domino effect for a guy like Donovan Mitchell. So you wonder what you do with KD or Kyrie. What do you do with DeAndre Ayton as well, where he's with the Suns, so you can't do anything with him now? And then what young players or picks will the Jazz even acquire? Mind you, they're in a rebuild mode. So if they don't get Kevin Durant a part of that three-team deal, they're going to want a lot of picks and they're going to want a lot of young players, young talent. And the Nets don't have that for Utah. The Nets don't have that for Utah, not at all. So now you're wondering if there's maybe a chance that the Pacers come back in there and maybe try and trade Miles Miles Turner, and you wonder if they're going to try and trade him. Maybe, I don't know. We're not quite sure about that, but he doesn't have the same cachet as a DeAndre Ayton because we've seen Ayton in the playoffs now dominate or have some good moments the last 2 years where we haven't seen Miles Turner in that kind of light right now. Mr. Barker says, I would have liked to see Aiden in Indianapolis. That would have been fine as well. Me too. Would have been nice. But the Suns are no crazy dummies. They went ahead and signed him to that 4 year, $133 million deal. But you wonder, like, the Jazz want young players. They want young talent because the Jazz aren't getting Durant. Durant's not coming to Utah. But the Nets are having a chance to have part of that trade aspect where the Nets will get Mitchell and the Jazz will get some big pieces from whoever that third party is and yada yada yada. It's a big circle on that one. So we don't know what the Nets are going to do, but they are still in the running to maybe getting Donovan Mitchell. We'll have to keep our eye out on that, you guys. Our next squad we're going to talk about LA Lakers, y'all. You know that PJ is not a Lakers fan at all. She said, why are you even talking about the Lakers? Because every time there is somebody new in the free agency market or whatever, it could be Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, Bigfoot, Jesus Christ himself. The Lakers are always there. They're always in the running. They're always in the talking of getting a guy of Donovan Mitchell status. So I've always said to myself, well, people want to play in LA. One is California, it's LA, it's Hollywood. They want to be there, right? Most of these guys, they live and breathe that kind of spotlight. They want to be there, and you can't get mad at LA for being LA, right? We're talking about LA, not Louisiana. We're talking about Los Angeles. Uh, but Mitchell, I can see him being in Los Angeles, but the Lakers the last couple of years now just getting old, and you wonder if LeBron really wants to be there. He kind of does because of it being LA and he's in his final leg of his career. You see that happening. But then you're also wondering to yourself, man, can the Lakers really, you know, can they even get Mitchell? And they do get Mitchell, who are they giving up? And that is the story to talk about for the LA Lakers. Here we go. I mean, you have it right here. The first point trading Russell Westbrook. And everyone is saying, man, just trade Russell Westbrook. Just trade Russell Westbrook. But you're not that team that is receiving Russell Westbrook. It is easier said than done to trade Russell Westbrook. He did opt in for $47 million for 1 year. Yes, it's just a 1 year contract, but you want pieces if you're the Jazz, if you wanted to solely trade Donovan Mitchell for Russell Westbrook, that is not about to happen because one, that is very unfair to the Jazz. They are in rebuild mode. Russell Westbrook is the opposite of rebuild mode. You want pieces back that can last a lifetime or give you some really, really great memories for years to come. Russell Westbrook will not go to Utah. He would not even be part of a trade for Utah because Utah wants picks. They want capital. They want young guys. The Lakers do not have that. No first round picks. Our next point. The Lakers have no first round picks until 2025. And even if they did have first round picks, it won't be any good picks. So why would the Jazz even be on this Lakers hype? Well, because there is Anthony Davis. But you're saying to yourself, okay, is 80 better than Donovan Mitchell right now? And you're going to say, yes, he is. But there comes an asterisk. When healthy. And the best ability is availability for Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Davis, excuse me. So if you're the Jazz, yeah, you would love to have Anthony Davis, but he is shown to not be healthy. He cannot stay healthy. And we've seen with AD and Westbrook, You can't really build teams around those guys. These guys have had their shots now at being the number one guy in their career, and it just has not panned out for both of them. That's why now they're playing number two and number three to LeBron James in Los Angeles. So you wonder to yourself, AD's the better player, but the Jazz, like, if we get AD, we still want some more picks if we're giving you Donovan Mitchell. We want a pick or another player. We want the more of the trade. You can't just swap these two guys out. In the Jazz mind, AD might be better, but he can't stay healthy. We want some great compensation for this as well, not just getting Anthony Davis by himself. As far as Russell Westbrook, the same thing. If you give us Westbrook, we want a whole bunch of people that you just do not have. Everyone's talking about Horton Tucker like he's just a special player. No, he is not. He's okay for the NBA. He's a really, he's a great player. He's in the NBA for a reason, but still, he's not this guy who's going to change your franchise or be part of a changing of a franchise to their glory days or to their winning ways. It's not Horton Tucker at all. Um, so that's going to be an issue. Once again, just like the Nets, the Lakers might need a third party to deal with getting Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell's a special guy. He's one of those guys. He's an all-star, but he has that ceiling of being a superstar. So honestly, you're looking in the future, and if you're Utah, we want that kind of compensation for Donovan Mitchell. Yes, right now, AD is the better player than Mitchell. But when it's all said and done, in 2 years, Mitchell will be head over heels better than Anthony Davis, who cannot stay on the court because he's made of glass right now. So that's the biggest issues for the Lakers, and I think a third party will have to come in and make things happen in order for the Lakers to get Donovan Mitchell. I don't see it happening, but you never say never. On to our next squad, the Miami Heat, you guys. The Miami Heat, and Mr. Barker did say on here that Donovan Mitchell reminds him of D Wade, and that's been his ceiling, is D Wade, which is a good ceiling. But mind you, Donovan Mitchell and D Wade are like this. They're very close with each other. They're very close. You see Wade at a bunch of Utah games. So you know that they had that mentorship program, that big brother, little brother program. And you know that D Wade has clout in Miami. So he's probably telling Pat Riley. He's probably telling Eric Spoelstra, man, go get this guy right now. He is very special. And I do see the Heat. Look, the Heat are the one team on this list that they're expecting a championship even without Donovan Mitchell. This team went to the finals in 2020 in the bubble, and then they went to the Eastern Conference Finals just this past season against the Celtics and lost both those contests. But they are still a team that looks for championship aspirations. The only team I can see that can get Mitchell right now, even via trading another player, they're the only team that has championship aspirations with Donovan Mitchell. This Heat team, although they lost PJ Tucker, this Heat team is still good. They got some dogs on it, and I think Mitchell would catapult them to like standout finals representatives in the East, right? Like the Heat, the last 3 years, they've been that team, but you never really took them seriously because just of their lack of scoring, their lack of a superstar, right? And no offense to Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, those guys are all good. But when you talk about just one-on-one, a superstar can change the game. Butler has his moments. He does. But you need that other guy as well. If Butler has his moments, that means Adebayo's not having his, and Tyler Hero's not having his as well. That's the issue with the Miami Heat. So here we go. Let's talk about the Miami Heat issues. If you're going to trade for a Donovan Mitchell, and this team, just like the last two, they might need a third party because, mind you, the recipient is going to be the Jazz. They want compensation. They want the future to be bright, and you cannot blame them one bit. So, who goes? Is it Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo? It cannot be both because the Heat are trying to stay great as well. So, were you going to trade your sixth man of the year, Tyler Hero, or your all-star in Bam Adebayo? That's the issue right there for the Miami Heat. Also, for the Heat, no draft capital. They have no draft capital at all. They cannot have any players outside of Hero or Adebayo. Their players are just not that good. They're young guys, and the draft picks just not that good for Utah as well. You don't want to trade and you have no picks at all or no good picks. Mind you, it came out reports said that while Gobert was still a Jazz, the Heat traded for Donovan Mitchell. They tried to, they requested it, and it was denied already because they don't have the draft capital. The Jazz denied the trade request from Miami. So you wonder, man, now that the Jazz got a whole bunch for Rudy Gobert. They got a lot for Gobert. They're like, yeah, we really, 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 really want to match that with Donovan Mitchell if we're going with this rebuild mode. If Mitchell does not want to be a part of this rebuild mode, then we need to get substantial amount of picks and players, good players, to come to this Jazz team. And just like the rest, who's the third party for the Heat? We don't know. They're going to need a third party because they just don't have the draft capital. And if Mitchell does go there, are him and Butler a great dynamic duo? And I do say yes. I think Mitchell is gonna be it only up his game to play with a guy like Jimmy Butler. I do like Mitchell going to Miami. I think it's a great fit as well. You have Pat Riley running that organization, which is fine, but then you also have Donovan Mitchell teaming up with Eric Spoelstra. He's been a head coach now for over a decade and has done a great job with the Miami Heat. So you figure that defense tenacity and going into the East where it's not so crazy in the West, I think Mitchell and the Heat with him and Butler for a few years could probably run the East and go back to the finals like they did in 2020 or Eastern Conference Finals like they did this year against the Celtics. So that'd be awesome to watch that. A guy who can score on his own. They needed another guy like that besides Jimmy Butler, who was an all-star. Butler's not a star or a superstar. He's an all-star, but he can have star moments, superstar moments. But a flat-out superstar, no, that's not Jimmy Butler at all. But Butler can still get it done. He just needed more help on the offensive end. Mitchell can bring that, but boy, you got to trade either a six-man or Bam Adebayo, and you got to hope that a 13 comes in for the draft capital uh, to help get this deal done. And our last and final squad, let's get to them. The New York Knicks. The New York Knickerbockers are the last team, and honestly, I think this is the best team to get Donovan Mitchell. Honestly, I think the Knicks have the best chance of getting Donovan Mitchell, and it's kind of easy for them. But the Knicks have been in mediocrity for a long time. 2 years ago, we were excited because they were the fourth seed in the East, and Trae Young came in there and iced them out. All their hopes was on Julius Randle, and Randle still cannot go right. He's a left-handed player who cannot go right still in today's NBA. So he's easy to defend, and the Knicks went from that promise of 2 years ago to last year being the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference. It went from like, what the hell? They had an identity at defense. Tom Thibodeau brought that nastiness and competitive spirit as well 2 years ago, but last year it just faded away. Derrick Rose didn't play the entire year pretty much because of injury, and you had guys like Randall who went down. RJ Barrett kind of stepped up a little bit, but if those two guys are your top guys, you're not going anywhere. If you are a New York Knicks fan, you don't like that. So Donovan Mitchell makes a lot of sense. Let's go with the New York Knicks and what they got to bring to the table. One, the Knicks are financially stacked. That's right. I put in big bold letters, y'all. They are financially stacked. This team can outright get Donovan Mitchell right now. But obviously, you need a trade partner, right? But Mitchell teaming up with Jalen Brunson, that combination could be scary. The Knicks are the Knicks are the Lakers, but with no spaz. The Lakers can back it up with their play. The Knicks are just all hype, all bark but no bite as a franchise. They are hyped up. It's the Mecca. Everyone loves it. Well, the Knicks, all they want, because I can honestly guarantee the Knicks don't care about championships. They care about being talked about. That is it. You bring Mitchell there with Jalen Brunson to sign a 4-year, $100 million deal. That's a nice backcourt who won't win any NBA championships anytime soon, but they could bring New York that spark back. They haven't had that face of the franchise, the third point. They need that face of the franchise, the Knicks do. They had it with Carmelo Anthony. It feels like forever ago now. They had it with Patrick Ewing in the 90s. But now it's like, all right, Knicks, what are we doing? What are we doing? They are in desperate mode of getting that franchise player. And I think Donovan Mitchell, he can outright be traded to the Knicks by themselves because they have a bunch of young guys, and of course they have a bunch of draft capital as well. It's the one team that does not need a third or fourth party. The Knicks can get it done by themselves, and I think Donovan Mitchell has a great chance of going to New York. It is all about now what the Jazz think is fine capital coming towards them because they got a lot for Rudy Gobert. How much do the Knicks really want a Donovan Mitchell kind of type of player? Because they could easily have their number one be Brunson, number two is Mitchell, the number three is Barrett. Maybe Randall was part of that trade, so he could or could not be the number four for the Knicks. And of course, Mitchell Robinson, who they just paid as well this year, a lot of money, be the number five. And that Knicks squad, that's a prominent squad, a starting five for New York if they can get it done. We'll find out. But they have a lot of young talent in New York, and they also have a bunch of guys who can go ahead and make a difference and draft capital. So they have that. Mitchell to New York sounds like the best bet because the Knicks don't need a third party. They still might go that route, but they don't need a third party at all. As my boy Philly Philly says, "What up, guys? What up, Philly Philly? Thanks for the love, man." But the Knicks and Mitchell sounds like a match made in heaven. The Knicks get that star or that all star who could become a superstar, and they have that franchise player, and he's still young, you guys. Still very, very young. So that's our four squads: the Nets, the Lakers, the Heat, and the Knicks. The four squads. But we'll go now and let's break this down at the end. So we have the curious case of Donovan Mitchell. Now, nothing happens with Mitchell without KD. If KD cannot get it started, then it's going to be a while before Mitchell's traded. Mitchell might be an in-season trade. If Kevin Durant stays in Brooklyn, Mitchell may be an in-season trade to where you can see what teams really want Mitchell that badly. We'll find out. But as of right now, I'm going to tell myself that Mitchell is going to stay a Jazz for now. And I do think if he is traded, it's going to be in the middle of the season to where you find out what teams desperately really want Donovan Mitchell and make it a lot more easier for them to give you capital for the next couple seasons or players that you need right now. But obviously, Mitchell doesn't go without Kevin Durant for the off season. KD's got to be that fire starter, that domino effect is Kevin Durant. Will it be the domino effect? We'll find out, you guys. But in the comments down below, tell me, where does Donovan Mitchell go? Who has the best chance of getting Donovan Mitchell? And where would you like to see Donovan Mitchell at? By the way, this is Uneducated Sports Talk, you guys. If you like what you see and you want me to do more videos like this, just go ahead and let me know by hitting that like button. Smash that like button and also subscribe to Uneducated Sports Talk and join UST Nation for a chance at many cash prizes and giveaways and the best damn play-by-play and live commentary of all YouTube, you guys. PJ, any last words? She says Donovan Mitchell to the Heat. She says bank on it. He's going to Miami. When is he going to Miami though? It says Kevin Durant is getting traded this offseason. He's going to the Heat. If not, during the trade deadline, he's going to Miami. I can see that. I can see that. You guys, let me know, where is Donovan Mitchell going? Joyce B says hello everyone. What's up, Joyce B? Thanks for the love. You guys are awesome, man, and I love you guys. I will see you guys tonight also for baseball action as well, but be ready for that. But the curious case of Donovan Mitchell is in full effect. Where does he go? Let me know in the comments down below. All sports fans, You know what time it is. Stay smart, stay uneducated. Peace. Love you, mama. We're out, y'all.